What is going on, NFC South Roundtable? It is your usual suspects back at it again with a pre-recorded video here to talk to you about our previews and predictions here for Week 14. As always, I am your host, Colby Cochran, here with Roundtable Sports. Today's video brought to you by BetUS. Right now, when you guys use the promo code that you see on the screen, YouTube150, that is YouTube 150, you guys will lock yourselves into a limited time exclusive offer of a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit, followed by a 125% sign-up bonus on your next two deposits, all the way up to $2,000. Remember that supporting the sponsors, that supports the channel, supports everybody here at the NFC South Roundtable and everybody at Roundtable Sports. Now, BetUS, they got the fastest payout in the industry. They can give you a 200% crypto deposit bonus, 10% back on your net losses 2 times a year, and they are doing something that no other sportsbook has ever done before. They are giving you your very own personalized account manager. And guys, the great thing here too is that you don't have to use this sign-up bonus just on NFL games, but you can also use it on NFL futures. You can use it on NBA games, baseball games, hockey games, politics, entertainment, horse racing, fighting. They have the best damn betting variety in the business, which is something that BetUS prides themselves on. So have a little bit of extra fun this football season, but play smart, play responsible, and never bet more than you can afford to lose. But fellas, let's go ahead and let's get back into these games. And Smitty, I want to start with you. All of you guys are playing 1 o'clock games this week. But Smitty, why don't you talk to me about your matchup?
Yeah, man, we played the Vikings this week, man. This is going to be a tough game. The Vikings pose one of the best run defenses in the league, which is I still think our strength. So Bijan's going to have a tough go this week. Just like last week with the Chargers, I said you have to get Tyler Algier involved early because these are the type of defensive lines you have to wear down in order to be successful. Now, where the positive comes in, the Vikings are one of the worst pass defenses in the league. 29th against the pass at 243 yards a game. So if Kirk Cousins is to come alive, this is the perfect game. And I think this is the time you should reunite with Darnell Mooney on those big plays and go vertical. They can do that. I think they have a great chance to win. Now, honestly, with Minnesota, Sam Darnold had the best season in his career by far. He already has a career high in touchdowns. He's only about 100-some yards away from having a career year in pass yards. So he's doing his thing. He's finally in the right system, and they trust him, and that's all you can ask for. But as far as the Falcons, that 5-sack game last week, we need to have that same type of aggression and mindset going in against Minnesota. And if we can get out the door and force them to make mistakes, I think it's a recipe for a win. And knowing that you can pass the ball against these guys, I think it's a plus. So I'm taking my Falcons, man, to jump out of this slump on the road. And I know it's going to be tough, but I'm taking the Falcons 21-17.
And a big game you guys need to get back into the win column after a bit of a shaky last few weeks. But Clay, let's go on over to you. What do you think about this Vikings and Falcons matchup?
Yeah, I mean, Sam Darnold is on like a redemption tour, man, and it's honestly for me as a Panthers fan, it's kind of infuriating a little bit, since he did play for us, right? And this guy was a punchline not long ago, but now he's dropping 2 touchdowns, 0-pick games like it's nobody's business. The Vikings know how to win games. They've won a lot of games by 1 score. They're one of those teams that can just put the dagger in the heart for a lot of teams, and they take them down, and that's what they've done this season. Atlanta Falcons, you have to be better at being consistent. Game in and game out. Right now, it's just like they're in this slump of still trying to figure things out. And they want to win the NFC South. Kirk Cousins, has been inconsistent at best. He hasn't thrown a touchdown in the past 3 games. He's up against his former team, so he wants to show up just enough to break Atlanta's heart, and that's what he's been doing lately. But I think this is going to be a slugfest. But for me right now, I think the Vikings are just better at closing games. So I'm going to take the team that's better at closing games. I'm going to take the Vikings. I think it's going to be close, but I think it's going to be 30-27 Vikings.
Yeah, crazy too that Sam Darnold's projected value in free agency this offseason is going to be a 4-year deal. The fact that anyone's thinking a multi-year deal for Sam Darnold is something that I guarantee you nobody had on their bingo card. So that's going to be an interesting situation this offseason. But James, let's go down to you. What do you think about the Vikings and Falcons?
It's a tough game for Atlanta, man. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, talk about a 2-game stretch where it's like must-win games for the Falcons. You have to play the Chargers, and now you have to play the Vikings. I have a ton of respect for the Vikings organization and how they are structured, from their front office to their coaching staff. Kevin O'Connell, in my opinion, is one of the best coaches in the league. He gets the most out of his guys. Brian Flores is a defensive coordinator, regardless of what Tua T said, I think is getting the most out of these defensive guys, where Jonathan Greenard has been fantastic for them. Andrew Van Ginkel has been a very solid player for them. And the Vikings look like one of the better teams in the NFC right now. And the Falcons have a lot to prove. They do. They have been stumbling, and they're stumbling into a tough away matchup against Minnesota, where, yes, it is Kirk Cousins' former team, but like, who's really trying to get revenge here? Is it going to be Kirk Cousins going up against his former team, or is it going to be the team saying, hey, Kirk, you chose the Falcons over us, and we're doing pretty good without you? So that's going to be an interesting question. Here's a harsh truth, though. Kirk's got to step up. He has to. Otherwise, the Falcons aren't going to get better, because, look, you're having the defense step up now last week. You're having Bijan Robinson continue to do Bijan Robinson things. They're still not using Tyler Algier as much as they should, but point blank simple as this, Kirk Cousins was one of the biggest reasons they lost last week. And unless he improves, the team is going to go where Kirk goes. And right now, Kirk isn't in a good place in terms of his play. I do believe he will finish this season as the Falcons starting quarterback, but something's got to change, and it's got to change quick. I do also agree with Clay that I do personally believe Minnesota will just be a bit too much for the Falcons to compete with right now, especially with where Kirk's at, man. I'm not sold on Kirk right now. He's been struggling, and it seems like he's getting worse. He is. And the Vikings know how to blitz like anybody's business. They're the top blitzing team in the league, and Kirk Cousins is not mobile right now. So I have the Falcons winning this one. I'm actually going to say 24-17 is what I have the Vikings winning by.
Ooh, 24-17. TJ, why don't you wrap us up with this game? What are your thoughts?
I think the Vikings are going to win this football game, and I just think that it's simple. You got Kirk Cousins, who is familiar with the Vikings. The Vikings are familiar with Kirk Cousins. So to me, it just comes down to coaching. I don't trust the Falcons coaching staff to make adjustments necessarily. I do think that Kirk Cousins is going to make some plays because, he knows where the bodies are buried. But you're going up against a team that knows everything about you. They got film on top of film on top of film to be able to neutralize you in every way. Now, when it comes to the blitz, I will say this. Kirk Cousins thrives when teams blitz him. So that's a plus. But I trust Kevin O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell, the man is the quarterback whisperer. Like, think about this. Every quarterback that he has played with in Minnesota has had like a monumental game, like from Josh Dobbs to Sam Darnold. Like, he just knows what he's doing, man. And you got Justin Jefferson out there. You got Jordan Addison, who is really coming into his own. And you also, we ain't even talking about TJ Hawkinson. He kind of taking a step back, but they got so many talented guys on both sides of the football. So I just think it's going to be tough for the Atlanta Falcons. I think they're going to be uptight. I think they're going to be a little bit desperate. And I think that's going to cost them because they were playing lax over the last couple of weeks because they had control of this out. And now, everything is starting to speed up a little bit. I think they're going to come out there a little bit tight, desperate, and that's going to cost them.
Well, guys, this is where we kick it to you. We want to hear your thoughts and your predictions for the Falcons and Vikings matchup this week. Let us know in the comment section below. But fellas, let's go ahead and lean into this next game. And Clay, your Panthers are going to have a real test this week. You guys are starting to turn the tides a little bit. Bryce Young looking like, okay, maybe, just maybe, he can be your franchise quarterback. And this is going to be one of the games that we look back on and say, okay, yes, he has proved he can be your franchise quarterback, or okay, maybe he's not there just yet facing the Philadelphia Eagles? What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is a David versus Goliath situation all over again. Carolina's momentum is for real. I love what I'm seeing from this team. I know that we're still coming off back-to-back losses. And this matchup has all the makings of either being a massacre or being very closer than what people think. Now, the problem is the Eagles have a MVP candidate on their hands in Saquon Barkley, and the Panthers' run defense is the equivalent of Swiss cheese. And I'm scared that Saquon Barkley is licking his lips to run all over this defense of ours. I think that Carolina, again, that's probably one of the things that keys to victory here is they've got to stop and slow down Saquon Barkley somehow. You have to force the Eagles to beat you with Jalen Hurts' arm. But then he's got weapons. So here's the thing. The Panthers offense, though, lately has gotten better. Bryce Young is progressing each and every week in the right direction, but he's still learning the ropes. And while he's still showing promise, this is not a game where I feel like he's going to thrive. And now I could be wrong, but I just feel that this Eagles team is on this 8-game winning streak. They're playing angry, whereas the Panthers are playing hopeful. There's a difference there, right? I love what I'm seeing from this team right now. I just think that the Eagles have too much firepower, and I think Carolina will put up a fight. I think they'll be competitive, but I think at the end of the day, there's just too much going on with that Eagles offense and defense. I think the Eagles are going to pull away and make this a statement game. But I'm going to go Eagles 31, my Panthers 19.
Ooh, okay. So not a confident win. Well, I should say not a confident win, but rather not a close win, I should say. But
Yeah.
James, let's go down to you. What do you think about the Eagles and Panthers matchup?
I mean, Clay was so not confident about that win, it turned into a loss. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
But sorry, Colby, had to do it to him. But listen, this is going to be a tough game. You know, I wanted to pick the upset as I was sitting here thinking about it, but Clay makes a strong argument for the Eagles. Golly, MVP Saquon Barkley is a menace to society, and I think he is going to run all over the Panthers, unfortunately for them. And I will say, I just saw the Panthers play, against my Bucs, and I will say, like, they've got, like, Josie Jewell, I think, is a very good linebacker on that Panthers team. I think he can go out there and make some plays. I think Xavier Woods is a very good safety. So, like, they have a couple of guys on that defense, but oh man, Saquon is Saquon. And like, look, I think it will be offensively fine for Carolina. I think I don't think that's going to be the biggest issue for them because, again, just what like Clay was saying, I think that Bryce Young is slowly but surely coming back. I think Chuba Hubbard's going to bounce back in a big way. You have Adam Thielen back, who was making crazy catches last week against the Bucs. Xavier Leggett showed some stuff. But I do ultimately have the Eagles winning this one. I am going to say 28-20 in favor of Philadelphia.
What about you, TJ? Who are you taking in this matchup?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Eagles in this game. I like the fact that the Carolina Panthers had 3 consecutive home games. I think it helped them out tremendously. As far as being around a home crowd, being able to figure some things out. They didn't win those games, but I think they learned a lot about themselves, and they come away from those games optimistic about the future. Now you're going to Philadelphia, who's riding high, and you have to say arguably is the best team in NFC outside of the Detroit Lions. That's a tough matchup, man. It just is, and I think that there's some bright spots when it comes to the Carolina Panthers, the future, but there's levels to this. I said this on the live show. It's levels to this, man. It's the Philadelphia Eagles are just on another level. I mean, it doesn't matter what type of offensive or defensive philosophy that you come with. Sometimes teams are just better. And I just think that the Philadelphia Eagles are just better. And I think they're going to dominate this game. You know, I really do. I feel like they're going to show some fight. I'm talking Carolina. But I just think that Philadelphia being at home, like the momentum that they're playing with right now, and then you add the fact that Saquon Barkley is on a mission, and that offensive line, trust and believe. They know how many games he is to breaking Eric Dickerson's record, and they know what the average is. And guys have a tendency on the offensive line when they like a guy and they respect him, they're going to bust their ass to make sure that they reach that goal. I mean, that's just what it is. We know that those offensive linemen, they want him to get that. Saquon Barkley is motivated. So it's going to be a tough outing for the Carolina Panthers. I think it's going to be competitive probably in the first 2 quarters, but then the muscle is going to get flexed in the second half, and that's when the buzzsaw is going to happen.
What about you, Smitty? Do you think that there's any way the Carolina Panthers can pull off this upset?
No, not running to this buzzsaw, man. They talked about them being the best team in the NFC. I think they're actually the best team in the NFL. You got to remember they were just in the Super Bowl. So they know what it takes to get there. And then you talk about 2,000 yards. Nobody deserved that more than Saquon Barkley, what he's been through with New York Giants. So to see him having the season that he's having, to see Jalen Hurts bounce back, and I think the key matchup is going to be those Eagles wide receivers against those Carolina Panthers corners. But even then, like he said, I think, Saquon gets probably about 175 this game. They are last in the league against the run, so it's going to be a tough sledding. Like he said, I agree, it's going to be close like the first 2 quarters, but the Eagles pull away at the end. I have 34-17 Eagles.
Well, it sounds like everybody here does have the Eagles killing the Carolina Panthers. Well, I guess apparently except for myself, but you guys let us know in the comment section, who do you have winning this matchup? I think we all know who you have, but if you have the upset, make sure you guys let us know. Let's go into this next matchup though. And James, your Buccaneers are playing the Raiders, a bottom 5 team in the NFL, a team that quite honestly, they're not looking to win games. That franchise, the fans, they are actually looking to lose games to tank for Shador. So any win for them is mortally a loss. Do you think that you guys can come out with this win?
Firstly, I do think the Bucs can come out here and win, but I wouldn't go as far as to say that the franchise as a whole, like obviously, and like we all know this, like the players, the coaches, they want to win games because their jobs are on the line, right? So they are going to go out there and play. But I do agree with you, Colby. Like this is a team that has been going through so much this year. Okay. They traded Devontae Adams. Their own head coach has been slam dunking on them in their press conferences, calling them soft and bad and all these different types of things, right? They've had, 3 or 4 different starting quarterbacks this year, I believe, between Ritter, O'Connell, Minshew and everything. So, but I will say this, there have been moments where this team has had some bright spots, has had some good moments. They went toe-to-toe where they themselves were a fumble away from beating the Kansas City Chiefs. So I don't think that this is going to be a game where the Raiders are just going to lay down and die, essentially, right? I do think the Raiders can go out there and be a competitive team. But I do believe also, like you said, Colby, like the Bucs are still in a must-win now mode. Of course, we've mentioned it. Clay mentioned it in the live stream about the Falcons. The same thing applies for the Bucs. Like they cannot afford to make mistakes. They can't. I personally believe that they need to win. They can only afford maybe one more loss down the stretch here in their final 5 games to have a realistic shot at winning the division. And they can't take any team lightly. I don't believe the players will. I would hope they wouldn't. And I also believe the same of the coaches. But I do have the Bucs winning. I have them winning, let's say 28-17. I think that you've seen a lot of good stuff from the offense in terms of Bucky Irving, Baker Mayfield, and Mike Evans, the offense running through those 3 guys. Defensively, look, the pass rush is still going to have to get some stuff done. You've seen Kalijah Kancey and Vita Vea do some really good things. Hopefully they get a little bit healthier in their secondary with Tyke Smith maybe coming back at some point. They have Jamel Dean and Zion McCollum out there right now. So we will see. But I do have the Bucs winning.
Yeah, something else to watch too is the fact that the Raiders, they have been banged up in the secondary as of late. So maybe an advantage that the Bucs can take there. Let's go over to you though, TJ. What do you think about this matchup?
The Bucs are going to blow out the Raiders. Here's the thing. They played against a team that's in their division. I mean, you basically structure your team to be able to counteract your divisional foe. And everybody knows that when you play against the Kansas City Chiefs, that's your Super Bowl because they are the measuring stick. So I don't trust Aiden O'Connell. I think that Antonio Pierce is too old school. Like these kids today that's playing football, man, you got to handle them with fine-tooth gloves. You can't have that tough conversation with them. And I just think that loss, the way that they lost to the Chiefs, man, that can affect you psychologically. And I don't think those guys were really dialed in the first place. I just think that they hate the Chiefs. You know what I mean? It's just that plain and simple. I think they hate the Chiefs, and their frustrations, kind of took a back seat to the fact that they hated the Chiefs. Now it's back to business. Now it's back to the Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward sweepstakes. So I think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to dominate this football game. I think that Aiden O'Connell is going to go back down to earth, and I think you're going to see the same thing you've been seeing from the Raiders, which is coming up short and getting beat to sleep most games this season. So I got the Bucs dominating.
What about you, Smitty? Do you also have the Bucs dominating?
Oh yeah, no doubt about it, man. Mike Evans, he's going to fight for that 11 straight season or 1,000 yards. He has a little ways to go, but this may be the game where he puts up 200. We talked about Bucket Irvin, who had 140-something yards rushing last week. He could have a big game, but the Raiders, they lost. I think Antonio Pierce is one and done in Las Vegas. I think they go out and find another younger coach like TJ said to come in with these younger players. But I think they're going to run roughshod over the Raiders. I got the Bucs 34, probably 34-10.
And Clay, why don't you wrap us up? Do you also have the Bucs winning?
Yeah, the Raiders are playing for pride at this point in draft position. The Bucs, they're playing for a playoff spot. One team has something to fight for. The other one has Aiden O'Connell. You do the math. So, I'll keep it short and sweet. Give me the Bucs. Dominating performance. I'm going to go 36-20.
You know, it's kind of wild, too, because this is one of the only games that you can look at and say both teams can win or both teams can realistically lose. So kind of a funny storyline in this one. But TJ, why don't you wrap us up here with the final game for the NFC South in week 14 as your Saints are going up against the Giants? Break this one down for us.
Well, number one, I'm just going to say this. I'm not going to be long. The fact is, why would you want to win a game like this if you are the Saints? You're not making the playoffs. I understand that mathematically you're not eliminated, but you're eliminated. You got so many issues that you need to address in the offseason. And what are you playing for at this point? You know, the Giants, they're a terrible football team in their own right. I really feel like Brian Daboll is probably going to get fired at the end of the season. But I do think that they have a really good pass rush. I think that they are able to do some things defensively. The Saints, to me, they basically just be throwing things against the wall, hoping that it stick. I mean, a shot play here, a trick play there, a reverse here, a Statue of Liberty play, just to try to generate some level of excitement. I think that the Saints are probably going to win this football game because they're not as bad as the Giants are. I mean, the Giants are terrible, and the Saints are the kings of beating low-hanging fruit teams. But it's not going to solve anything. To me, I feel like they will benefit more by losing a game like this. But I think they're going to win because they like Darren Rizzi. They're going to continue to fight for him. And I think that they're going to try to make this thing as respectable as possible. But once again, why the hell would you want to do that? You can get yourself a top 10 pick. That can be the start of something special. But instead, they want to try to keep on trying to make this thing look the part when clearly it is not. But the Saints are going to win this football game, but it's going to be competitive.
Hey man, they're just running for the Whistler right now, right? Like they want to keep him back. They want him to be the next head coach. You got to win for the Riddler.
I understand that, but man, bro, all that rah-rah stuff, that's cool right now. You know what I'm saying? It was cool for a couple of weeks, but man, now it's time to get serious here. Like, man, I don't want to go through this in 2025. I'm okay with it right now because Dennis Allen was a train wreck and we got that bum up out of there. But right now, man, it's like, I don't want to keep on doing this, man. You know, I got this glove on right now, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm thinking about, you know, Mike Tyson when he was biting his, you know what I'm saying? He was biting the glove the whole time he was fighting Jake Paul. You know what I'm saying? Because he couldn't take the kill shot. The Saints been biting their glove all 2024. I'm just tired of it, man. So I like Rizzy. I like the energy, but they need something else, man. They need a coach that can develop talent, and we can finally get out of this purgatory we in with Derek Carr and all this mediocre football, man. I'm tired of it, man. I want to be a contender. I don't want to be losing game week after week and be, you know, taking moral victories. Like, I think we all can relate to that, right? When we tired of moral victories, we want to win. Period. Yeah, but I like Darren Rizzi, but man.
Yeah, get on that soapbox, TJ. Get on that soapbox. I'm with you,
get
brother.
Get a top 10
pick, baby. Get that top 10 pick.
Get the top 10 pick, man. That's all I'm saying.
Smitty, what about you? What do you think about the Giants and Saints?
I'm like TJ. I'm just keep it sweet and simple. This is gonna be a preseason game. This is gonna be the third squad against the third squad. Like I said about that Cleveland game a couple weeks ago, this has all the makings of a 63 ball game. Tommy DeVito. He played well last year, 3-3 as a starter, but his game last week, man, he looked like he stepped back in time into being a rookie. You look at Derek Carr, who threw for 184 yards last week. He might throw for 114 this week. He's just on that
37
bad.
attempts. 37 attempts, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, look, the only hope that the Saints got a scoring touchdown is Alvin Kamara. We all know that. And with the Giants, they had one of the best pass rushing units in the league. Even though they lost Dexter Lawrence, I still trust that pass rush against the Saints. So again, it's a field goal game. 9-6 Giants.
9-6. Oh no, not one of those games, Smitty. Clay, what do you think? Do you think this game is going to be just as bad as Smitty and TJ think, or do you think that there is a possibility that there could be some entertainment to this one?
No. The Giants, remember that they've thrown Tommy DeVito out there. That's like saying tanking without saying you're tanking. Like, that's how much of a dumpster fire the Giants are in. They're going to probably fire Dable at the end of the season. They're going to fire their GM at the end of the season. It's going to be a whole new front office for the New York Giants. I think the Saints find a way to bounce back in this game, probably. I don't expect a blowout. They'll just do enough to secure a win against the team that's an absolute dumpster fire, like I said. Again, I think the Saints win this game 24-17.
And James, why don't you wrap us up here? What do you think?
First, I don't know where the hell TJ got that boxing glove.
TJ, did you just like pull that? Were you wearing this the whole time? Like, you know,
I was wearing it the whole entire time, man. I was wearing it the whole entire time.
Incredible. Secondly, I do think this game will be a little bit more competitive than what TJ and Smitty are saying, but I don't necessarily think it's going to be a fun game. I do have the Saints winning. I think they're going to win 20-10. And that's just because the Giants are so bad. I mean, they look like a team. They look like a team where the 75% of their roster is not going to be there next year. I mean, it's incredible how far that they have fallen. I mean, we mentioned whenever the Bucs played them, they literally went from having their former first-round draft pick to benching him to cutting him all in 4 days. That's how bad they are right now. So wow. I do think the Saints have a little bit more life in them than the Giants. So I have them putting up 20 to the Giants 10. So
yeah, real talk. I mean, can you name one player on the Giants that actually scares you from an offensive or defensive standpoint? Like one guy you really
he hurt
against.
He hurt Dexter Lawrence. That's it.
Exactly.
Maybe Malik Neighbors.
Malik Neighbors. And any running back.
He has
any running back
expectations. But he doesn't have a quarterback that's going to, efficiently and effectively get him the ball anyway. So even he doesn't matter.
Malik Neighbors going to run away at the end of the season. I don't care what nobody. He's going to ask for a trade next year.
He's going to retire, brother. He's going to retire.
Any running back that they got on their team, anybody. I mean, the Saints have a tendency of making the most mediocre player look like they're the second coming of Walter Payton or Thurman Thomas or something like that, man. It just, bruh, they can't stop the run. They can't stop traffic with a stop sign. Couldn't stop a cab in New York City, man. They terrible when it comes to the run defense. Horrible.
Hey
Derek
guys,
Carr
well,
could
look.
throw a t-shirt in a hanker basket.
Hey
So
guys, look,
bad.
that is going to end it for this edition of the NFC South Roundtable, giving you our previews and picks for these Week 14 games. As always, this is where we kick it off to you guys. Let us know what you think about each of these creators' thoughts and who you think is going to win and lose this week. On your way out, make sure you guys leave a big like on the video and subscribe to the channel for all of your NFC South news, and hit that bell notification once you do so that you get notified every single time we post and every single time we go live. Another big shout out to BetUS for sponsoring today's video. But until next time, we appreciate you guys for watching and stay safe.